Welcome to part 4 of my tutorial where I'll teach you how to make the shop page and the item buying mechanism. Okay, okay, oh my, okay, yeah, anyway, uh, in our shop page, we want to be able to show our lam coins, we want to be able to show all our items, we want to show the items in the shop that we haven't bought. So here, I've already bought David, and that is 10. Yeah, we want to show the value of the items that we bought, and the items and the value of the items that we haven't bought as well. So this is the prices, and this is the value. Yeah. So I'm still falling. Okay. Anyway, here we're gonna use Jinja to format this HTML document. So yeah, here this is gonna show the lam coin that we're gonna pass into Jinja, the through render template Flask. Yeah, and then if owned items, which is what we're gonna pass in, which is basically a dictionary, right? It's gonna be a dictionary called yeah, it's gonna be a dictionary called yeah, it's gonna owned items. It's gonna be a dictionary, and it's gonna be like, oh, okay, this is the item B David Acosta Villanueva, right? And it's gonna be um a dictionary by itself. So um this is gonna show the price, yeah. This is gonna show the price, yeah. It's gonna show the price, which is like yeah, 10 for example. So this is gonna be an example of something we're gonna pass in. Unowned items is gonna be what's in the shop here. So it's gonna be the same format. It's gonna be basically everything that exists, all the items that exist, except what we own, because everything we own is gonna be here, everything else is gonna be down here. So unknown items, for example, be Mr. Lam's students, right? Price 50k, right? And actually, we need to have a link to our image file. As you can see, these are all my assets, right? And when we display each of these items, we have an image to display, this is the product display. So here we're gonna have we're gonna go through we're gonna split this into the items, the keys and the values. So we're gonna iterate over owned items dot items, which is gonna be for here. Key is gonna be this, B David Acosta Villanueva. Value is gonna be this, so which is everything down inside. Yeah. So we want to be able to iterate over that. So that's what we're doing here. It's a control statement. So we're gonna use we're gonna have to end it N4. And yeah. So we're gonna create a div for every item, and then we're gonna have its background image be set to, its image file name, which is, here. So we're gonna have it be a URL. Good look into static assets and then the image file name. So in actuality, it's gonna be another key and value down here, which is gonna be, for example, davidcosta.jpg. Yeah, that's about it. This is going to show a key, which is this, be David Acosta Villanueva, and it's going to show a price, which is this, 10. Yeah, and then we're also, so yeah, for this is the equip, which I'll go to in the next episode. And then, yeah, that's basically what's being displayed. However, we want to be able to purchase items. The equip comes in the next episode. So we're gonna, so here we're gonna have, as you can see, there are purchase buttons, and actually each of them are part of a form, and they post to the same index page, right? And there's an invisible input, and its value is key. So key will be the name of the item. Yeah. So it's an invisible input, and when I press purchase, which is the submit button, it's gonna send this piece of information over, and it'll basically tell the server what item I'm actually trying to buy. So here, this is gonna be the item name, which is what we get from this invisible input, and then we're gonna execute. We're gonna check if the item exists. So here we're gonna select all from items where name equals this, and then we'll fetch the first row because there's all the names are unique, so we don't have to worry about multiple duplicates. So item ID will be item 0 because we have actually another table, right, for items, right, and then we have an ID, and a name and a price. So if we select star, this will select all three columns. So the first, which is 0, will be ID. So this is the item ID. And then we'll also check that, the user, we'll also check that, we'll also try to use the session, the username that's stored in the session to get the details about the user. And then we'll get, so we'll use this later on when we need to check the lam coin. Yeah. So check already bought will basically execute a statement, and this is going to contain a left join. So this will left join by history. So we have another table by history, right? Okay, actually we should just clear this. So we have by history, and then we have this table. So this is gonna show all the transaction histories basically. So this is gonna be the ID of the transaction, this user ID, and then this item ID. Yeah. So it's very simple, right? Simple table. So this is just gonna join the buy history to the users table, and it's gonna basically, so it's gonna join it on the user ID. So this user ID has to match this ID here. So this have to match here. And then we're gonna also look for, we're gonna make sure that the transactions that show up are from the current user. And then we'll also check that, okay, well, we're gonna check if it's already bought, right? So we're gonna check whether the username is equal to this session's username, and it's equal to the item that we're trying to buy. So this item ID we got here, and we're gonna supply it into here, and it'll fetch one. So we have to make sure that that item is not none, meaning the item exists, and check already bought is none, meaning the transaction to buy the item doesn't exist yet, which means it hasn't been bought and the item exists. So user 3, if we look here, lam coin, this is the lam coin. This is the lam coin. Right. So 3 is gonna be the fourth column. So yeah. So we're gonna make sure that the lam coin is greater than the price, or greater than or equal to. It's greater than the price. And then we're gonna, after we buy it, we're gonna have a new lam coin, and we're gonna actually floor it. So floor only does things in integers. So since we're dealing with currency, we want to round it to 2 decimal places. So I just multiply it by 100 and divide it by 100. So for example, if I have 99.99.0034, I mean 0304, right? I'm gonna multiply by 100. This is gonna be 9903.04, and then I'm gonna round it. I'm gonna floor it, so 9903, and then it's gonna round, it's gonna divide by 100, so 99.03. So effectively, I have rounded down to 2 decimal places. Yeah. So that's the logic behind this. This is the new lam coin, and then we're gonna we're gonna set the lam coin of the current user because they just bought it. And we're gonna set their lam coin to be this new value. And yeah, do note that we're doing this because computers are actually, as it turns out, aren't very good at doing math. So sometimes it'll just turn into a really long string of numbers. That's why I had to floor it. Yeah. And then after we update their lam coin, we're gonna add a new transaction into buy history. So this is gonna be the values, and then we're gonna put in the user ID and the item ID. Yeah. So after we insert and update, we have to commit the changes. So yeah, we commit. Yeah. And then yeah, to continue, after we buy the item, right? We have to, okay, well, after we buy the item, we're just gonna show this page again, right? So every time we show the page, we have to find, all the items we have, all the items we don't have. So these are the items that we have. Actually, no, these are the items that exist. These are all the items. So this is items equals cursor.execute. Select name, price, image, file name from items. I could have used star to just be all, but I didn't need the ID. So, So bought items is gonna be basically everything that I can find that exists in the buy history and is tagged to this user. So I'm gonna join the buy history and the items because I'm gonna join buy history on buy history.user_id equals users.id. I'm gonna left join items on item ID equals items.id. So this is gonna allow me to see the transactions with the item name and the price, and also get the image file name. So these are all the bought items. It's gonna fetch all, and then user details will fetch me their lam coin, their name. The items, the item names, right? Because they're gonna have one equipped item, right? And actually, we have a column in this users table that shows the ID of the equipped item. So we're gonna left join items on this, on equipped item equals items.id, because equipped item is actually just the ID of the item they have equipped. So it's probably gonna be like 7, something like that. In this case, David is gonna be like 1. Yeah. And since there's only one user, we only fetch 1, and then we'll close the connection because that's all the queries you have to do. And then lam coin equals int user details if user details is an integer, else it's just this. Yeah. So why do we need to do this? Because lam coin is actually stored as a float. So if I didn't have this line, let's say I had $90, 90 lam coins, right? It would actually show up here, right? This would be what it looks like. It would just be 90.0, and that's really ugly because I don't really care about the zero. Yeah. So I round it. I make it an integer if it is an integer, else I'll just keep it constant. So equipped item will be user details 1. So this will be the name of the item. It's gonna be it's gonna be a dictionary, and then this is gonna be the key. And so the key will be So this matches like here. This is the equipped item. The equipped item is gonna be like, it's gonna look kind of like owned items. So B David Acosta Villanueva, price 10, image file name David. So as you can see, there's a bit of an overlap between owned items and equipped item because they're allowed to overlap because whatever we equip has to be owned by us. So it's gonna put the user details 1, which is the item name, user details 2, which is the item price. So this is gonna be here, 10. Image file name will be David Costa. And then owned items, as you can see, this very long line is gonna be owned items is gonna be x0 because we're gonna do okay, we're gonna iterate through bought items basically, and then uh, the bought items will basically act as our owned items because they're the same, right? So we'll need to generate a new key and value, right? A new item into owned items. This will be the key will be the name of the item, and this will yeah. So this, for example, this is the key. X0 will basically be this. Price will be int x1. So this is the same thing as the lam coin, right? If it's um, if it's a float, it'll keep it as a float. Otherwise, it'll just make an integer. And the image file name will be x2. So as you can see up here, image file name. So 0, 1, 2. So this will be the name 0 here, price 1 here, image file name x2 for x and bought items. So this is a really long list comprehension kind of thing. Now this only works, right, if bought items 0, 0 is not none. So since as you can see here, bought items, I have to go to I have to access it 2 times because since it's a fetch all, it's gonna be a tuple of tuples. So I'm gonna make sure that the first one, um, if there's if the user is new and hasn't bought anything, it's gonna be none. So I'm gonna check it isn't none. So if all of this, if there's no bought items, all of this won't be true. It'll just be an empty curly brace. And unknown items will be an empty curly brace. And for x in items, which is this fetch all, so x is going to be a tuple. And if x0, which is the name, isn't in the owned items keys, the keys of the owned items. So for example, here, let's say this is my own items. Every time I'm iterating over items, I'm gonna check that x0 is not in owned items keys, which is this. So basically, it just checks that it doesn't exist in the owned items. So if it isn't in the owned items, it'll just create um, it'll add a new item to the unknown items. So yeah, it looks kind of confusing, but yeah, it works all the same. So x0 is the name again. This is the price. Same thing here. We're gonna make it an integer if it's a float. I mean, if it is a whole number. Otherwise, I'll keep it a float. x2 will be the image file name, right? And yeah. So we're gonna pass in the price in x2, and every time I iterate and it isn't one of our owned items, it'll add this item to the unknown items list. Unknown items dictionary. Finally, that's gonna be what we pass into vendor templates, and that's how it works. So yeah, that's like it. Yeah.